Now, with our next story, we go to Norman Dorman on location.
Thank you, Maria de los Reyes. We are standing at the corner of La Vida Avenue and Esplanade Street in our wonderful city of Orange. As you know, Maria, viewers have been calling station KORG seeking answers regarding this sign. Clearly, it declares Hewes Park above the numerals 1906. Citizens of Orange have voiced their frustrations as they can't find the baseball fields, barbecue pits, and play swings. All they have located are locked gates.
Thank you, Norman. In a moment, you should see and hear our KORG eye in the sky helicopter passing overhead. We have dispatched Babe Barton to thoroughly recon the area. Are you there, Babe?
That's affirmative, Maria. We just lifted off from La Vida Avenue and will approach the park from the south. Wow! This place sure has a bunch of massive, beautiful, old trees here. They must have been planted at least a century ago, or maybe even a couple of decades. My co-pilot is in radio contact with Chapclap University Professor Ely Teat. He will vector us towards a specific feature he believes will prove this area was once the premier place for residents and tourists to experience the wonders of early 1900s Orange County. Take it, Professor Teat.
Yeah, sure thing. Let's get on with it. So your viewers are not totally oblivious to the geographic location in question, I'm going to present a diagrammatic representation of the area. To translate, that means I'm going to show them some maps. Here you see a 2022 Google Maps image of Northeast Orange, California. Shaded in red is an area comprising approximately 15 acres that is believed to have once been, beginning in 1906, a most beautiful parterre-like garden. And yes, that is 1906, not 1906. O is a letter, not a number. As we now time travel back to 1960, notice land use consists of field crops, some orchards, and the appearance of residential developments. The specific area of interest shows a few private homes, suggesting it served neither as a public nor private park at that time. Cranking up the Wayback Machine to a setting of 1938, we immediately noticed the dominance of orchards. A single residential area can be detected at the extreme right side of our display. As our location of interest appears, we can safely conclude it is designed in a manner that provides for natural beauty and human relaxation. I will now identify the physical structures and facilities that can be seen in this 1938 aerial image. To the west and south of our location of interest is a railway. Off to the east is that single residential district. It was once, and often still is, referred to as a neighborhood of El Medina. Appearing now are roadways we know today as La Vida Avenue, South Esplanade Street, East Jordan Street, and Estate Drive. On the west side of the tracks, directly above La Vida Avenue, is the train depot, also given the name El Medina. On the south side of La Vida, directly below the depot, you can see the citrus packing houses built by David Hughes in the year 1890. These structures would later be destroyed by fire in 1947. Southeast of the packing houses stood the stables for Hughes Anapalma Ranch. Next door, to the east, is the ranch house was occupied by Hughes employees. Hughes himself had a number of homes, but his Southern California digs were built in the year 1881, a short distance away, in the town of Tustin. The mansion was of Victorian style and contained 14 rooms. Now, listen up. This is important. Notice the circular plantings of palms at the apex of the aptly named Hewes Park. These palms seen here in 1938 provide the anchor we need to wrap our heads around this place. Shifting the Wayback Machine into reverse and leaving all labeling in place, we will return to the present. Notice that 11 of the original 1938 palm trees remain. In a moment I will provide irrefutable, conclusive, visual proof that these palms mark the very center of our area of interest. Not that one. Cut to Babe in Sky High 5. Are you there, Babe?
That's affirmative, Professor Teat. I have maneuvered the aircraft a bit to the southeast so as to approach the designated palms with a heading of 360.
Looking good, babe. Stop when you get a clear view.
For you academic types, it's called a hover. Wow! That's Sierra Hotel. Prof, you called that one right. Those palms look like they define an arc of about 210 degrees and constitute part of what was once a complete circle. Let's count these puppies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Turbulence!
When you're done jiggling and jinking, we'll get back, down, to business. In the corner of your screen, you now see an image of the park, taken some time during its peak beauty in the late 1920s. The image is oriented in a manner that coincides with the live view from Babe's helicopter. Notice the blue shading just added to both images. It highlights the path of a private roadway that has remained unchanged for 100 years. Also note the letters N appearing in both photographs. They indicate the top of each image is north. In addition, the two letters mark the exact same geographic point. Each end of the red line that just appeared terminates at the apex of the property. In the late 1920s photograph, the apex is Hewes Park's central palm tree. In our 2023 helicopter view, the apex is one chimney of a ginormous private home. Highlighted now is the circular planting of palms as they looked in the late 1920s. Green dots now overlay and identify those original palm trees we believe can, at this moment, be seen from Babe's helicopter. By connecting the palms as depicted in the late 1920s image to those outside the aircraft, viewers can judge for themselves the validity of our conclusion. There. Your viewers have now been educated as to the location of Hewes Park, and also enlightened a bit with a few details regarding its evolution from 1906 to present. There are so many fascinating, almost unbelievable, facts and stories surrounding this place. Due to time constraints, we will be able to explore only a handful, with the expectation that your audience will be motivated to further research this place on their own. The vehicle we will use to do so is what we call, at Chapclap University, an academic quiz. Participants will be selected from your KORG staff, as I've met many of your viewers and I don't think they'd be up for the challenge. So, let's start with your VP of dubious content, Know a Truth. Question number 1. At the height of the park's popularity in 1930, what novel activity, or sport, was introduced for the guests? 1. A zip line was installed, on which visitors could fly through an orange grove, picking fruit along the way. 2. A miniature golf course was built, and guests could navigate a Chinese-themed course that included dragons, at any time, day or night. 3. A 2-lane, bowling alley-like game was laid out on the 10% grade at Park's apex. Participants had to alternate between uphill and downhill rolls at the 10 pins. The correct answer is number 2. The Long Beach Sun was one of numerous newspapers announcing the opening of the miniature golf course. The official, formal opening was Saturday, September 20th, 1930. Many festivities and prizes were offered in order to entice people to participate in the momentous event. The advertisement in the newspaper that day included the following passage, quote, "The Hewes Park miniature putting greens comprise 3 acres, situated in a grove of trees of many varieties, have long fairways and large greens of all, goat hair, felt used exclusively, ensuring smooth putting. A real test of golf with numerous hazards which will test your eve and putting stroke." Reading from additional newspapers provided further details of the course and festivities. The Oriental motif was reinforced by a Chinese band from Los Angeles that played while the Duffers negotiated the unique links. The 18th hole featured a dragon that, when a ball entered its mouth, belched smoke and fire. There was also a clubhouse designed as a miniature pagoda. One of the most striking features was the jumbo Chinese pool table, Chung Chui, said to be one of only 2 in California. The table was sunk flush with the ground, measured 11 feet by 21 feet in size, and used balls of a size similar to croquet. The cues were mallet-shaped. The entire entertainment project, including the land and equipment, represented about $175,000 in 1930 value. Wow! That was a less than impressive performance by KORG Noah Truth. To even the odds, we will double the contestants and reduce the multiple choices to just 2. Given this group, that will give them at least a 1 out of 10 chance of selecting the correct answer. We have selected KORG Chief of Accounting, Max Error, and KORG Director of Customer Relations, Emma Partier. Beginning in the 1940s, the park began its transition from recreation and real estate boosterism to rural, then suburban, housing. During that time, many accomplished people have called the former Hewes Park their home. This home you now see, highlighted in red, was built in 1952 on 0.48 acres. A very famous individual resided in it for 42 years, from 1972 until his death in 2015. This man began his career in Orange County by standing on the roof of the Orange Drive-In Theater's snack bar. He spoke to his audience, sitting inside automobiles, through individual speakers, designed to sit on each of the car's driver's side window. When the audience was motivated by this man's message, they would honk their horns in jubilation. From this humble beginning, the man built a following of over 20 million people from around the world, and had close relations with 3 U.S. presidents, John Wayne and Evel Knievel. He also built a cathedral of crystal that seated over 2,000 of the faithful. Was this man 1. Richard Milhouse Nixon, or 2. Reverend Robert H. Schuller? Time's up. Freaking amazing. Of course, the correct answer is number 2. The Reverend Robert H. Schuller. I certainly hope none of these contestants are Chap Clap alumni. To expedite this quiz, and to save my sanity, we are moving to the lightning rounds. Now welcome Lieutenant Ben Dover, KORG Head of Security. In 1905, celebrated landscape architect Robert G. Fraser designed Hewes Park. Which one of these 2 parklands did he also design? 1. The 1915 Panama, California exposition held in San Diego, California. 2. Busch Gardens in Pasadena, California. The answer is number 2. Busch Gardens in Pasadena. Busch Gardens and Hewes Park had many similarities. First, obviously, they were both designed by the same man. Second, they were both completed and opened to visitors in the same year, 1906. Third, both were privately held and privately maintained, yet free for the public to enjoy. Fourth, there was much desire, both on the part of the landowners and the public, for the parks to be donated to their respective towns or county. Fifth, David Hughes died in 1915 and Adolphus Busch died in 1913. Neither man's hope that their park would be transferred to the public came true. Sixth, in the late 1930s, both parks began to deteriorate. Seventh, both Hewes Park and Busch Gardens suffered the same final fate. They were subdivided, and upscale homes were built upon them. Oh, sure. This one looks like a winner. Let's welcome Mia Oblivious, Senior Vice President of Communications, KORG Channel 5. Hello. Hello. Whatever. Next question. In 1869, 11 years prior to his arrival in the Orange and Tustin area, David Hughes commissioned to be made a ceremonial piece containing 14.03 ounces of gold. It was said to have been made for the wedding of the Rails. What was this object and what was its purpose? 1. It was a ginormous wedding band for Hughes' niece and nephew, who were third cousins and shared the same last name of Rails. 2. It was a big spike, used as the final connector in the joining of the Union Pacific and Central Pacific, creating the Transcontinental Railroad. Unbelievable. How many more of these KORG nitwits are backstage? No freaking way. Game over. Send those brainiacs back to Channel 5. I'll finish this up myself. First, the correct answer was number 2. Then San Francisco contractor David Hughes, friend of Central Pacific President Leland Stanford, was disappointed to discover no one had prepared a commemorative item for the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. Unable to persuade anyone to finance the casting of a solid gold or silver section of rail, Hughes decided upon a more practical token. Using $400 of his own gold, he had the William T. Garrett Foundry of San Francisco cast a golden spike. The spike was 5 5/8 inches long and was made of 17.6 karat gold. Please join me in welcoming the replacement for our KORG contestants. Okay, next question. Since its opening in 1906, Hewes Park has provided a place at which the public could enjoy many activities. Name 8 such activities or events. Correcto mundo. Rock says it was a popular destination for early motor car rallies and outings. One such event is chronicled in the April 15, 1915 evening issue of the Santa Ana Register. Using alliteration and purple prose ad nauseum, the reporter writes, "At Hewes Park, the girls fairly reveled in the riot of radiant blossoms with which the picturesque spot has been made to glow." The article also states the venturesome females proceeded on a daredevil climb up El Medina grade, then onward to Orange County Park. Easter sunrise services were conducted at the park's summit. In the Los Angeles Times, March 28, 1917, the Orange Methodist Churches and Epworth Leagues of Santa Ana announced sunrise services are to be held at the admirably situated, most beautiful Hewes Park. Music will be provided by a 16-piece orchestra, including a cornet solo. Throughout most of its existence, Hewes Park was an ideal location from which to promote local real estate. In this April 4, 1926, Sunday issue of the Los Angeles Times is a full-page promotional piece placed by D. Amon Huff, general manager representing the David Hughes estate. It proclaims, "Come, make your home in this citrus paradise." No less than 4 of the photographs appearing on the page depict Hewes Park. Numerous other periodicals provide affirmation that the park was a show place. This August, 1922 Santa Ana Register, the subline proclaims, "Park at El Medina, favorite spot to show county visitors." Rock says the park was also frequently the venue for wedding anniversaries, goofing off, birthday celebrations, hiking, camping, exploring, and numerous barbecues for civic groups, businesses, and other organizations. In this Sunday, September 29th, issue of the Santa Ana Register, a reporter writes, "The Hewes Park picnic ground was the scene yesterday of a happy family gathering celebrating the 52nd wedding anniversary of Mr. and Mrs. Lamont Goebel of 318 East Broadway, Anaheim." The article goes on to state, the party of 30 relatives, representing 4 generations, enjoyed a bounteous dinner under the waving pepper trees, which have helped make Hewes Park one of the popular picnic and recreation spots of Southern California. The next paragraph proclaims, the day had added significance as it was the birthdays of Mr. Goebel and his daughter-in-law, Mrs. Wayne Goebel of Santa Ana. This image, taken at the summit of Hewes Park, is the quintessence of goofing off. If you have any doubt regarding this, just look at the expression on this guy's face. Makes you wonder what these fellows, way back in the early 1900s, were doing that placed them there, in front of a then rare camera, at that instant in time. Here you see 3 youngsters, bedrolls attached to their bicycle handlebars, on an overnight outing. The photograph was taken at the summit of Hewes Park, about 1910, as one could guess, due to the very young trees and shrubs. The boys are identified as, from left to right, Ralph Goodale, Charles Pearson, and Joe Elliott. Charles Pearson, the center lad, will later in life have another beautiful park, named after himself, in honor of his service as a mayor of Anaheim, California. As Rock stated earlier, the park was the site of numerous barbecues and celebrations. Here in July of 1926, we see that 114 members of the Orange County Press Club participated in what was christened a steak feed. In October of 1930, 75 faculty of the Jefferson School from Long Beach gathered to enjoy food and miniature golf. A last example of the frequent culinary events can be seen in this August 1931 account where 200 members of the Santa Ana Breakfast Club dined al fresco at Hewes Park. Back to you, Maria, Norman, and Babe. I've given a sampling of the interesting facts and stories surrounding Hewes Park. There's much more to tell, however, that will have to wait for your next broadcast.
Thank you so much, Professor E.L.T. After the wonderful stories you just told, I'll never again be able to pass by the Hewes Park sign without thinking of things like the beautiful music of a 16-piece orchestra drifting down from the hilltop as an Easter sun rises, or the laughter of adults and children putting golf balls into a dragon's mouth as smoke and fire belch forth. Maybe I'll even smell steaks frying atop grills, competing to overwhelm the sweet fragrance of thousands of orange trees in bloom.
Wow, Norman, that's way over the top. I think that is our clue that this broadcast is starting to go sideways, and it is time to sign off. To all our KORG viewers, this is Maria de los Reyes, Norman Dorman, Professor E. Lee Teat, and Babe Barton saying,
Thanks for watching!
And remember,
It's plaza, not circle. Knucklehead.